All right. So to continue with these how do you call it? Technical blot. All the psukim of how we learn out things. And so tonight we learned the rest of the Mishnah of how the Eved is kind himself. And Amevriya, we got into the halachas of Amevriya, how she's kind herself. And yeah, that's basically takes us for the whole block. So we're 5 lines down from the top. As it says, b'shtar. Yeah, so you can buy an Eved. You can buy an Eved with a star. Yeah, Minolan. How do we know? How do you know that you can buy an Eved with a star? Meaning you just make a star that you're buying the Eved. So Amar Ula Amar Kro Imacheres Yikach Loi. If he takes another person, meaning the son, we know that the Amevriya, a father can sell his daughter as a slave, right? And then he can give her, he can either marry her himself, the boss, or he can make the daughter, he can make the son marry her. But if the son has another daughter, so right? If he takes another wife, and then the pasuk continues, he has to treat the Amevriya the same way he would a wife. Whatever it is, it says in Macheres Yikach Loi, Hakisha Kosav Lacheres. The pasuk compares it to somebody else. Ma'acheres mekani b'shtar, just like acheres, just like any other wife, you buy her with a star. Afam mevriya mekani b'shtar. So mevriya also you buy with a star, right? You could buy with a star. Fine. So hanich lemandam b'shtar mevriya adon koisvei. Elamandam av koisvei ma'ikol meimar. That is a machlokes who writes the star when an mevriya gets bought. Meaning when a father sells his daughter, there's a machlokes who writes the star. Right? The Itmar, we'll get back to the question in a minute. Itmar, star Amevriya Mikaisa. Who writes the star of the Amevriya? Meaning the star is that the man is selling his daughter. So who writes the star? Does the boss write the star that says I'm buying your daughter, or does the father write a star that he's selling his daughter? Right? The Itmar, star Amevriya Mikaisa. Who writes it? Rav Huna says the master, meaning the boss, the guy that's buying her, writes it. Rav Chisda Amar Av Koisvei. Rav Chisda says the father writes it. So now, according to Rav Huna, it makes sense because who's writing the star? The guy that's purchasing the wife, and that's in a standard marriage also, right? We had that a bunch of blot ago. Whether the standard marriage is different than why it's different than a regular standard star. Normally, when somebody writes a star, the seller writes the star. Here, by a marriage, the seller is the woman. She's selling herself. She doesn't write the star. The husband writes the star. So according to the Mandamar that says by Amevriya, the father writes the star. So that's the same as marriage. So you could compare marriage to the Amevriya. But Rav Chisda says that the father writes the star. Right? According to Rav Chisda, it's different. It's different than marriage. The father's selling the daughter. He shouldn't be the one writing the star. If it's like any standard marriage, the boss should be writing the new boss should be writing the star. So again, Hanichel Rav Huna, who says again that that the master writes the star. El Rav Chisda, Michael, according to Rav Chisda, how can you compare Amevriya to a marriage? So Rav Achavar Yaakov, Makro like say it could say so avadim. Right? She does not go out like the regular way avodim go out. Meaning it says that the way an Amavriya goes out is not the standard way, which we'll see later on in the daf, right? But the kinyan does exactly like the avodim. My nihu star. So now we have a different shot. We're saying it says she doesn't go out the way normal avodim go out, mashma, but the way she goes in is the way avodim go in, right? And that's how you're going to do that. That's with shtar. So Gemara says, okay, who says it's shtar? Maybe it says that the Amavriya, maybe the way you could be kind to her is the way you're kind to any other Evid, which you could do with a chazaka. How do you do a chazaka? Chazaka is a form of kinyan. The way you do chazaka on land is you dig a hole, or you build a fence, or you do something like that. That's a way to showing that you've purchased the field, or some not or, but by an Eved. How would you do it? So you get the Eved to do some work for you. That shows that it's a chazaka. So who says that the kinyan can't be done with chazaka, right? Maybe it's not shtar. We're saying it's shtar. We're saying no, maybe it's chazaka. It's because the Gemara answers on Makrovis nachaltem oisam lebnechem acharechem. You can give them as an inheritance to your children that come after you. Oisam bechazaka, v'loy acher bechazaka. Meaning only that's talking about Eved Kanani. Eved Kanani, you give over, right? You give over as inheritance. So them they'll have a chazaka, but not anybody else with chazaka. So therefore we know that chazaka does not work for avodim. Okay, for the at least amavriya. Maybe the pasuk, the way you dash it again, this is all drushes back and forth. Who says Isam says you kind of done with chazaka? Right? Maybe Isam means bishtar. The loy acher bishtar, and not anybody else with shtar. Right? So the Gemara answers, it could say so avadim. It says, do not go out like the way avadim go out. Right? Umari Isa, and who says? Where do you see that you go with chazaka versus shtar? Mistabra shtar havalei l'rabuya shekain matziyah b'bas Yisrael. A shtar l'chayr is stronger. Why? Because a shtar works, meaning a get works to divorce a bas Yisrael. So therefore, there is some strength to a shtar. Mashaying in chazaka is not as strong. So Gemara says not true. Adrabah chazaka havalei l'rabuya. Chazaka could be strong. Shekain kind of b'nichsei ager. A chazaka you could be kind of nichsei ager, meaning if a ger dies, so a ger doesn't have relatives. If he doesn't have relatives, right? So then if he dies, so what's the din? It's hefker. So how do you go? How are you kind it? You can't. He's not giving it to you because he died. So what do? You make a chazaka. So you do see that chazaka has some strength to it. Again, we're saying shtar. The Gemara first thinks that shtar has strength to it because the shtar has the ability to divorce a woman. And I was saying, so what? Chazaka also has a strength to it. It can be kind of thing from a ger. A shtar can't be. So, so the Gemara says, "Beishas mi aloy ashkan." You don't see the chazaka works for ishas. I mean, we're talking about marriage here. We're talking about marriage, or we're talking about kinyonim. So by ishas, we don't find any chazaka. That's one teretz. Iba yasem, or another teretz lahachi ani. What?
I wanted to say chuppah is a chazaka. Until they have the first bia, they're not really married. So that's a chazaka. That's a different kind of chazaka. I mean, not to make fun of anything, but when one person works a field, that's a chazaka. So the first physical relation, that's a chazaka.
You want to say that that's a kinyan chazaka?
Yeah.
You want to say B is a chazaka?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to defer to Gershon to I don't know.
But it's a shtickle like Taisvis in Ksubis. Taisvis in Ksubis says, why is Bir Shaina called Bias Mitzvah?
You want to say you make
Isa Kli. Isa Kli is a chazaka.
Right. I hear. Okay, I don't know. Maybe. So now you're both saying that that's what it is. Okay, I don't know. The Gemara.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just backing up on.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Is it a chazaka? Is it a chazaka or a kinyan? Are you making a kinyan by doing bia, as opposed to a chazaka?
It is a kinyan. L'chari, you're right. It is a kinyan, but is it a kinyan? Is it the form of kinyan that it is a chazaka? That's what he wants to say.
There's got to be enough kamina. There's got to be enough kamina between a kinyan and a chazaka.
Why? There's two kinds of chazaka. There's a chazaka of a kinyan, and there's a chazaka by a field, keeping it for 3 years.
Right.
There is a kinyan chazaka.
You mean the chazaka is not the kinyan? I hear what Avi's saying. It's not a kinyan, it's a proof.
But which kind of chazaka?
Kind of ger's nechasim is not going to be a proof. That's going to be an actual kinyan.
Right. That's by putting a fence post in this field or something like that.
Yeah. I hear. Okay, I don't know. I don't know enough about the kinyonim. Iba is saying, what we're saying, another shot. The reason why we're going to go with that shtar works and not chazaka is lahachi ahani imacheres. That's why the pasuk, we're going to hook together the pasuk of imacheres together with loy say kitzei savadim, and we're going to say that that's referring to shtar. Okay, fine. So now for Rav Huna, so Rav Huna didn't need this whole thing. Because according to Rav Huna, like we said, you can compare an Omevriya to a marriage. Because in both of those cases, the guy buying the woman in a regular marriage is the chassan, and by Omevriya, it's the Baal, right? It's the boss. So there, the guy purchasing the woman is writing the shtar. So for him, he didn't need all this fancy psukim. He didn't need that. Right? He just had the comparison. So what's he doing with these psukim? What is he going to darshan? She does not go out with Rashi Evarim like an Eved. We learned this. I forgot what we learned this in already. Ksubas maybe that an Eved, there's 24 limbs, 24 external limbs. That if an Eved gets busted on an Eved, the Eved gets a get out of jail free card, right? So he's going to learn that only works by a male Eved. That does not work for a female Eved. Okay, so now Rav Chisda. How's Rav Chisda going to know that then? But Rav Chisda, say it's like avadim. They should say, don't go out like avadim. My kids say so avadim. What does it mean? The way avadim go out? So that teaches us both. So the pasuk, so let's say kitseis avadim teaches us that a woman, an omavriya, does not go out if she loses a limb or has some damage to a limb. That's one. And two, it's teaching us that she goes out, she can be bought with a shtar. Fine. Then the next line in the Mishnah is v'kainas atzmai b'shanim, right? And he's kind himself with years, meaning once the Eved works for 6 years, he's out. Right? That's fairly straightforward. No machloksim says he works for 6 years and he goes out in the 7th. B'yovel, and he also goes out in yovel. He's going to work with you until yovel. Fine. Giroin Kesef. So Giroin Kesef again is what do you call it? Prorating. You can go out with prorating the what the Ovid was sold for. Like we said, Ovid gets sold for 6 years. So let's say he was sold for $60. So that means $10 a year is what he cost. So you prorate it. Now I don't know if this gets prorated daily. It seems like it gets prorated yearly. Right? But maybe not. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much you prorated. Right? So meaning basically you divide it. The Gemara says you divide it by years. So he was bought for $60. So and he worked for 3 years. So now he's got $30 left. All he needs to give is $30 and he goes free. That's Giroy and Kesef. So how do we know? Yeah. So Amar Chizkid, Amar Krav, the Hefta, and he redeems himself. So that means that he subtracts from her pigeon, and she goes out. Again, we're talking about Amavriya. Tana. The kindness atzmi v'kesef v'shava kesef v'shtar. So he learned that he could be kind himself with kesef, shava kesef, and shtar. So what does this mean? Bishlam kesef, we understand. He subtracts from the kesef, or she subtracts from the kesef that she was bought. Right? Shava kesef nami yashiv gula sai amar Rachmana. It says to return for gula, to redeem. The rabbi shava kesef kesef. That comes to tell you anything that's the equivalent of kesef is like kesef. Elahai shtar echidami. What's the shtar talking about? Ilim et kesef le shtar adomea. So what are we talking about? He writes a shtar for how much is left. Let's say, using our example, he worked for 3 years, so he's supposed to be for $30. So they write an IOU for $30. Hainu kesef. That's kesef, right? Ella shichr. Right? It must be it's a shtar of shikhr. It's a shtar lumali. Why do you need a shtar to free a slave? Right? Lema le ba'at betray. Why doesn't he just say in front of 2 guys, go free, zil, go. Inami ba'at beidina. Or in front of Bezin, zil, go. Right? Why is it? Why? I mean, you don't need a.
Why don't we ask that by a get? Why don't we ask that by a get?
Oh, get, because get, it says v'karas law, right? I mean, you need get creases. You're muted, Gershon, if you're saying something. I don't know. by get, it says you need a get. That's here. It doesn't say that. Here we're saying if there's a star. Why do you need a star for it to let the guy go free? Right? Meaning if he just voluntarily is freeing him. So Amarava, so I say, Meres, Eved Ivri, Gufay Kanui. There's a Lamda Shataretz here. What it's saying is that in Eved Ivri, it's not just that he sold himself to his boss and therefore his boss, basically, he owes his boss money, meaning a guy sells himself for $60 for 6 years to his boss, which means he owes his boss 6 years worth of work, right? And let's say he wants to buy himself out, so he paid himself back. Whatever, he paid back. That's not how it works. The Gemara is saying what it's telling us is Eved Ivri.
About it, I don't think it makes any freaking sense.
Oh. Yeah. So Eved Ivri, Gufay Kanui. And Eved Ivri, his guf is Kanui. Right? Meaning his guf actually owns him. Not his guf, I'm sorry. The boss actually owns the Eved Ivri. Varav Shemachal al Geroinoi, Ein Geroinoi Machal. And Memela, since if a Rav, meaning Rav doesn't mean a Rav here, it means the boss. If he's just Stam Michael, it doesn't work. Okay? Because it's not, he owns this fellow. And since he owns this fellow, just telling him to go free doesn't work. He has to get something for it. He has to have some sort of proof to it. All right. So Taisus says, "Varav shemachal al garoina." It's a Taisus second Taisus up. If his guf wouldn't be kana, then his mechila would work. Right? And Taisus says, from here you learn that somebody is Michael, you don't need a kinyan. Right? Meaning basically what he's saying is that since this Eved is owned by his boss, right? Since it's owned by his boss, therefore he just doesn't go free. He has to be kind to himself some way, somehow. And just letting him go free in front of two people, that's not giving himself. You'd actually need a star for that.
That's so after he pays up, and his debt is paid and he's done, he still doesn't go free?
No, then he does because he bought himself back.
So it's only if he's going out early.
Correct. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Then we need some sort of star so he has a way to be kind to himself. Yeah. Okay.
Isn't Geroine Machal when he uses a star?
That's what we're saying.
He could use a star.
He could use a star because a star is a form of kinyan.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it's saying. That's why you need a star. He can't just let him walk free because then how is he being kind to himself back?
Could he use your Pesach pens?
Can you do chalipin?
Yeah. I was asking it in a funny way. Yes.
Could you use chalipin? I have no idea. I would think so. I would think why not?
Not from the last line of Taisus.
What?
The last line of Taisus, v'yesh lidchos, is mashma that there is a kinyan even with that. He's matcha the whole thing. The kinyan.
Yeah. Yep. It's hard to understand the Gemara then. Yeah. Okay, weiter. You said I love Amavriya. So we said Amavriya has one other way, and that's if she matures, right? Let's say she has hits puberty. Let's say at age 11, then she goes free, right? So that's what Amavriya has more. So Amarish Lakish, Amavriya, and Amavriya again. Amavriya is a girl that the father sold to slavery. So Amavriya kindness atzma b'misa sa'av. She's kind of herself back. There's a chiddush from Rish Lakish that if her father dies, she goes free. You hear this? The father sold her. Right? Now he dies. She goes free. Right? Again, Amavriya kindness atzma b'misa sa'av with the death of her father. She goes out free with the death of her father from the reshus of her master. How do you know this from Mikav v'chaymer? Masimonin. Shematim reshus amitim reshus adon. Right, simonim that don't take you out of reshus the father. make you go out of Rishus Adon, meaning when a girl hits puberty, she's still under her father's control until she's 12 and a half, and her father can marry her off, right? But so it doesn't take her out from her father, but it takes her out from her master. Misa Shemitziyim Rishus Av. When the father dies, then the brothers can't marry her off. Midrabanan they can't, but not midiraisa. And Nedin Shemitziyim Rishus Adon is in the Kavachaymer that the master she'll go out of the master. Right? This is basic Kavachaymer. Again, the father.
Would that be automatic? Because he has the right to marry her, the Adon, and then she could do mian when she reaches that age. So and then the marriage is nothing. So it sounds like over here, the father dies. She says, "Have a nice day, goodbye, Charlie. Even if you were interested in me, I'm not interested in you," and that's that.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah, she goes out scot-free. She doesn't have to do any Misa. I don't think.
But does she have to go free, or she is or
stay on if she wants to stay on? Do you need a new Misa Kinya? I don't know.
She can't. She's still a katana. She can't be mocking herself. And the father can't be mocking her either.
Her brothers. Right. What do you say?
We have this katana who's walking around after.
She's Yisayru B'chayavi. Yeah, that's what she's called.
Yeah, that's what Peretz is tiny. Anyway, so that's the Kavachaymer. Again, if Simonim doesn't take her out from her father, but death does. So if Simonim takes her out from her boss, so Kol Shekain death should, right? So that's what Rish Lakish is pushing the Kavachaymer. So I'm going to ask. If
she's property of this guy, then why should death take her out?
He's just saying,
but she's property of the guy. So what? It doesn't start up the Kavachaymer.
It does. The Kavachaymer does start because the Maisa. You have a Kavachaymer. What are you going to do with this Kavachaymer? Let's see the Lamed Beis, because the Gemara
she's property of this person. He bought her.
Yeah, but there's such a thing as going out from her, right? If she gets money,
I don't know. Why should the thing that the guy dies go out? His other possessions don't go out. His car doesn't go back to the showroom when he dies. It stays by his son.
So how do you understand Simonim then?
Who says I have to understand Simonim? She's not in there. She becomes a Gedolah by her father. It doesn't mean the guy who owns it gives up the possessions because he dies. His children yashin are like a yashin his house and his car and his yacht. She's a possession. They own her. They bought her.
Misas Ha'adon frees an Eved too. Alma's just extra because the Misas Ha'ava frees her also. She's not inherited. That's face Nechalta.
I'm saying, however you understand the Simonim getting her free, right? That's the way this is going to work, right? But anyways, so
there is a way I saw brought down that once he has this Kal V'Chomer, then an Amav Ria is a continuous kinyan. As long as the father's alive, he's continuously being makner. The entire Avdus is a continuous kinyan. So once he's gone, there's no kinyan being made, so she goes free.
Yeah, but the kinyan, what do you mean? The kinyan, it's an ongoing kinyan?
It's an ongoing kinyan. I don't know where I saw it.
That's okay, that's a that's a chiddush. That's a chiddush. Anyways, okay, so Meisvei, Rav Hoshia, so Rav Hoshia has a kasha. Yisera Lav Amavriya. Our Mishnah says that Amavriya has something more than other avodim. Shekoines atu simonim, that she's kind herself when she gets simonim, when she hits puberty, right? She goes out free. Vim isa nisni nami misas aav. So Rish Lakish is right. So then there's two ways that an Amavriya goes free more than a regular standard Evid. One, puberty. Two, when her father dies. How come the Mishnah doesn't say it? Right? Pretty strong kasha on Rish Lakish. Again, Rish Lakish is adding to the mix that not only does puberty let her go out free, but if her father dies, she goes out free. Wonderful, but our Mishnah doesn't say it. Our Mishnah only says one. So Gemara says ton of a shire. That's a rule in Shas, but I don't understand exactly. The Tana said one, but it left out others. Doesn't mean it's not specific. So Gemara says my shire the high shire. Right? Anytime the Gemara says the Tana left out things, so it needs to have left out something else, and then we can say that this thing is also left out. Right? So when I ask, so my shire the high shire, what'd you leave out that this one was left out? Meaning, if for whatever reason, you need to have at least. How's it going to go? Two. You need at least two to be left over. One is not enough. Right? We're saying that the Mishnah said puberty lets her go free, and her father dying also lets her go free, but the Mishnah just left that out. So now, what?
You need a third.
You have those two. Now you need an additional one to. In order to say that you left out one, you need to know that they left out another one. So it says my shire the high shire misas adan. So it left out that if the master dies, meaning let's say the master dies, so she goes out free. So what it says that's not a good leftover. That's not something that was left out. Because even misas adan lav shiuru, that's not called leaving something out. The even the economy ish like a tani, right? That's also by a man. A man also goes out with when his boss dies. Ve'ela nisni. So then what does it show? So why doesn't it teach it? So now the Gemara goes into a different thing. The reason why it doesn't say it in the Mishnah, again, the reason why the Mishnah doesn't say that an Amavriya goes out if her father dies is Tana Davar Sheyesh like Kitzvah Katani. Davar She'ein like Kitzvah like Katani. Right? Something that has a set amount, we learned. Something that does not have a set amount, we didn't learn. So what do you mean a Davar Sheyesh like Kitzvah? All right? So where the Gemara is thinking now that puberty has a set time, right? Death, you have no idea when he's going to die, so that's not considered.
So an islandess doesn't go out
at 20. At 20, it'll go out. But the Gemara asks anyways. The Gemara asks, "But Simonim dein lam kitzur v'katani." What about Simonim? Doesn't have a set time. Why are you saying it has a set time? How do you know when she's going to grow hair, right? So Amar Rav Safra ein lam kitzur lamala. You're right. Above, it doesn't have a kitzur. Meaning you don't know when she's going to, like you said, Rabban, right? She can hit puberty 13, 14, right? Aval yeshem kitzvah lamata on Talmud Beis now. But there is a kitzvah lamata. What does that mean, lamata? Meaning, even if she grows hair at a young age, not going to count. Titania, ben tesha shanim shehevi shtei cyrus. If somebody 9 years old, right, has shtei cyrus, shuma, that's called shuma. Shuma, basically, it's a mole, like you have a mole that can grow hair. You can see that on kids. That's not called shtei cyrus because that's moles grow hair, right? So any up till from a 9-year-old grows hair, that's called shuma till 9. From 9 years and 1 day, ad ben yud beis shana until 12, right? Va'aidan by shuma, and it's still in there. Some say that's still meaning it's still in the mold. Then it's considered shuma. Simin. It's already a simin. Ben yud gimel shana v'yamechar. Once it's 13, then divrei hakol simin. Then everybody holds it's a simin, even if it's on a mole. So there's basically 3 stages. Up until 9, we consider it a mole. From 9 until 12 is a machlokes, right? And then from 13 and on, for sure, everybody holds it's a simin. Whatever it is, you see that there's a minimum amount. There is a set amount that you know for sure that this girl will not go free. You know that there's a minimum age. That's 9 years old. From 9 to 12 is a machlokes. So that's what the Mishnah, that's what the Gemara is saying, that there is a set amount. Okay. So Masar Rav Sheshes said, now we're going to ask another kasha. Again, Reish Lakish had a kal v'chaymer that he says that a Amavriya should go free when her father dies. Right? So now Rav Sheshes, we ask a kasha. Rav Sheshes, Rav Shimon Aimer, Dalid Manikilim. So there's something called Hanaka, which we're going to have in the next couple of blot, which is that, and this also goes in case you think that Yiddishkeit doesn't treat slaves properly, there's a din that you have to give 3 types of presents to a slave when he leaves. He leaves, she leaves. It's got to be grain made out of, it has to have grain, it has to have wine, and it has to have animals. Right? It's a lot of presents that they need to get when they go free. So Rav Shimon is saying there are four types of avodim that you give these presents to. Gimel be'ish, v'gimel be'isha. 3 by a man, 3 by a woman. So 3 and 3 is 6. So how does it get to 4? So obviously, some of them are overlapping, meaning there are some types of slaves that work for both men and women, and then there's one type that doesn't work for men and one type that doesn't work for women. And you cannot say that there's 4 types of slaves by either a man or by a woman. Why? Simanim doesn't work by a man, meaning a man does not go free. An Eved, who's less than bar mitzvah, does not go free when he hits puberty. Right? And vein ritzia be'isha, and like we learned before, the woman never has her ear busted if she wants to stay on. And if this is true, why don't you also say misa sa'av? If Rish Lakish is right? Rish Lakish said that there is another way for a woman to go free. That's if the father dies. So now we have a repeat. If you're going to say, yeah, that's true, that there is a misa sa'av, Tani v'shaya, and the Tana left out things. It says arba katani. It says 4, right? It only says something that has a set amount. Something that doesn't have a set amount, it doesn't say. Simanim doesn't have a set amount, and we learn it. And if you're going to say, like Rav Safra said, that it has a minimum, but you can be sasadan. You have the death of the master, the Einlam Kitzvah. That doesn't have a set amount. Vikatani, we learned that. So you can't say that it's only talking about things that have set times, right? So because then you should not say you have Misas Adan, right? So Gemara says Misas Adan Nami Lakatani. So Enochanami, it doesn't say Misas Adan, right? Okay, so then if that's the case, what's your 4? If you're knocking out Misas Adan that they go free when the master dies, so then what do you have? So we say Shanim, that's 1, years, meaning the 6 years. Yoivel, the Yoivel shall Ritzia, and the Yoivel of Ritzia of that's 2. That's 1 really. I'm sorry, that's 2. No, I was counting as 2. Shanim is years. Yoivel is your standard Yoivel. Yoivel shall Ritzia. Yoivel for one who busted his ear. And Amevriya b'simanim, and an Amevriya with simanim. So those are your 4. Hachanami. The Gemara says that makes sense that these are the 4. The Ketani Seifa, arba be'echan mehem. The Seifa says you can't say that there's going to be 4 types of slaves by either man or by woman. There's no simanim by ish, and there's no ritzia by isha. If it's true what you're saying, then by isha you'll have 4. Right? You'll have 4 types. I keep saying 4 types of slaves. 4 types of ways to get out, because you'll have shanim, yovel sheritzia, and simanim. Right? So shma mina. So therefore, we learn from that it's not counted. Hold on, I'm getting a little confused here. What's saying? So which are the 4? Right? Oh yeah, Mrs. Auden doesn't count. Right? Yeah, fine. So now the Gemara has another.
What's the Havamina? The Mrs. Auden would count. How's he supposed to give her Hanukah if he's dead?
No, the Yarshim, no.
Yarshim aren't Yerush. Why would they give her Hanukah?
I don't know.
She's leaving, so it doesn't that has to do with Yerush. It has to do with she's leaving that family's servitude.
She wasn't in the family's servitude. She was in the father's servitude. Father's dead.
The family too. They also used to make hot chocolate for the girls before they went to yeshiva.
There you go. We'll wait to the
and for the brothers that were over 18 years, she went to get them cigarettes and she got them smokes. Okay.
Anyways, yeah. So we'll wait for tomorrow's daf to see the Yerusha, or the bottom of this daf. We'll see if we'll get to it. Okay. So Maser Rav has a kasha ve'elu manikin lam, and these are the ones that you do the hanukah, that you give the presents to. Hayoytze b'shanim, u'b'yovel, u'b'misas ha'adon. right? If they go out after 6 years, yovel, death of the master, Omer Avriya b'Simonim, and Omer Avriya goes out with Simonim. Misa Nisni Nami Misa Zahav. So how come it doesn't say Misa Zahav? She gets presents, right? The Chitema Ton of Ashaya, and it gets left it out. It says Vaha Elu Katani. It says the word Elu. Okay, so then it can't be Ton of Ashaya. Chitema Dover Sheyesh LeKitzva Katani. Only things that have a set amount. Dover Shein LeKitzva LeKatani. But Simonim De'elem Kitzva. Simonim doesn't have a set amount. The Katani, we learned it. If you're going to say like Rav Safra that it has a minimum amount, or you have the misa of the Adan that doesn't have a set amount. So therefore, it's why are you not also saying that the father died? It was a way for her to go out and get presents. So Gemara says, "Tiyufta the Reish Lakish tiyufta." We slug up Reish Lakish, and Reish Lakish's din is incorrect, right? And this din again, the din that Reish Lakish said from a Kavachaymer, that when her father dies, she goes out free, is tiyufta. So when it says, what do you mean? See, Rabban, that maybe answers your question or strengthens it. I say, how can you slug up Rish Lakish? He said a kavachaymer, right? So someone sounds like, well, so he said a kavachaymer. So maybe sounds like kavachaymer is like, if it's a kavachaymer, then it's a kava. It's almost like it's written in stone if it's a kavachaymer. Okay, I don't know.
That's what the Gemara asks every so often. Sfara, you lama likra. Sfara is a kavachaymer.
I guess it's a form of it. Yeah, but here it's saying fakert from the Gemara. His kavachaymer is saying the opposite of what the halacha should be. The Gemara is saying, oh, but it's a kavachaymer.
That's what the Gemara asks. It has to be correct because it's a kavachaymer.
Right, but we plugged it up from other prices.
Not the kavachaymer. You slugged up the halacha.
That comes out from the kavachaymer. Say, oh, it's a kavachaymer. So what? Okay, whatever it is. He says kavachaymer prichahi. It's a kavachaymer that has a kasha. Why? Simonim, there's a change in the body, which means the body that this person bought pre-puberty is a different body than post-puberty. So Mamela, that's why she goes free. The body doesn't change. Nothing changed about this Eved. Right? So since nothing changed, so why should because nothing changed in her because her father died. So why should she go free? Okay. Tani Chad. Now we go in the sugya of Hanukkah, of the presence. So Tani Chad Anak Anak Eved Ivri La'atzmai. The presence of the Eved Ivri go to himself. Anak Amavriya La'atzma. And the presence that the Amavriya gets also go to herself, meaning they don't get Yarshit. Right? V'tanya idach, anak amavir mitziyasa lavia. Either that or it goes to her father. I'm sorry. Also, you have the father. That's an option. Right? V'tanya. So we have one brisa that says it goes to the actual slave. V'tanya either we have another brisa, anak amavriya mitziyasa lavia. The anak from an avriya, the presents that she gets when she goes free, go to her father. And when she has to go find a mitziyah, the father, the boss, all he gets, he doesn't get the mitzvah, but what he does get is he gets the let's say she had to take an hour off of work to find the mitzvah. So whatever amount of money she gets paid for that hour, prorated or whatever it is, he gets. But that's it. So now it's a stira. So who's getting the presents? Is the Amavriya getting the presents, or is her father getting the presents? My love, Hadanafka b'Simonim, Hadanafka lo b'Misasav. One is talking about when she went out with Simonim, right? So when she went out with Simonim, then her father keeps it. And obviously when her father dies, he can't keep it, right? Then she keeps it for herself when he dies, right? So when it says, Loi, they both go out with Simonim. They're both talking about where she went out because of Simonim. Like Kasha, one is talking about where she has a father, and one is talking about where she doesn't have a father, right? Meaning, if her father's alive, he gets the presents. If the father's not alive, she gets the presents. So Gemara asks, what's the
havamina that it should be Misa Sa'av that it goes to her? We just shrugged Misa Sa'av up.
What do you mean havamina? We're saying it's a maskana. I mean, I don't know if it's a maskana, but she does get it.
No, maskana is it's only because there's no father. She doesn't go free but Misa Sa'av. The first teretz was she goes free but Misa Sa'av.
Right.
We just slugged that up. That was Rish Lakish.
Right. You're saying in
He
the
slugs
Hava.
it up with halacha and the Kal V'chomer. What's the Hava meaning now?
Right. You mean? Oh, you're asking. We already said the Mises Av doesn't work. It's not because of Mises Av doesn't find herself. I think it means when her father died.
That's the teretz. That's the maskam.
Right. So that's the way Rashi understands the first teretz too. Rashi says the Hayel the Lese La'av Zachi Ba'anak.
Then there's no difference between the first and the second.
Yeah.
What changed?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't understand the difference between the first teretz and the second teretz. I'll be honest with you. I don't really understand it.
It's like a manishtana.
Yeah, it's an easy way to
Hey,
answer.
the Gemara says, nafka b'misas ha'av.
I know, and Rashi says because there's no father there. Rashi doesn't say because she's.
Yeah, that's why it doesn't go. Rashi's saying it doesn't go to the Yarshim. It goes to her instead of the Yarshim. Should go to the Yarshim.
I don't know. I didn't understand it that way, but I don't understand my way either. So good. It's touche.
But the nafkula means she goes out. The misas ha'av. That's what the Gemara says.
Right. Okay. I didn't understand it that way, but fine. I mean, it's not fine, but fine. Yeah. So Bishlam Anak. The Gemara asks Bishlam Anak Amavriya La'atzma. Right. So the Mu'ute Achen. We understand that we're saying that the presents go to the Amavriya herself. That excludes her brothers, right? Because we don't want her brothers sticking their nose in here. The Tanya, you give it as an inheritance to the children after you. Them, meaning the Eved Kananis. I just talking about by Eved Kanani that if a guy dies, the Eved Kananis go to his kids. Only them, but not the daughters, right? Meaning Amavriyas. The schus of a guy's daughter, meaning a guy dies, a guy sells his daughter for Amavriya, then he dies. Right? Okay, so maybe the kid, part of his Yerusha, is that his sister's an Amavriya. They want to say, no, the schus of the daughter does not go. So what are you saying? That the anak of an Eved Ivri, so it's not talking about Amavriya. So what are we saying? That an Eved Ivri, of an adult, who sold himself to be an Eved Ivri, so he gets to keep his own presents. Who should get his presents? Right? So Rabbi Yosef, very interesting answer here. Yud, Koras, I don't think Koras, Keres, Kochazin and Hocha. We see that a Yud, a very small Yud, a Yud became a big city. That's the way Rashi says it. Meaning, you're right. There's no reason to have said it. For whatever reason, the Brisa decided to talk at length. So that's the mashal. Yud, Keres, that's a Yud, that's very small, became a big thing. So really, there was no reason to teach that then Eved Ivri gets to keep his own presence. But the Mishnah, or the Brisa, just wanted to extend it. Okay, Abai has a different teretz. Hachi Amar of Sheshes, Hamani Tutai. This is going according to Tutai. Titania Tutai. Aimer Loi Veloy Lebal Chayvai. He gets it in Anas Bal Chayv. This we had yesterday, which is called Shibuda de Reb Nassan. Right? So let's say this Eved owed somebody money. So maybe the presents can go to the guy he owes money to. Right? Because since he owes the guy money, Shibuda de Reb Nassan says it can really go to the guy he owes. So we're saying, like Tutai, that it does not go. Right? It doesn't go to him. Yeah.
Doesn't Shibuda de Reb Nassan only work on Karka?
So yeah, but we'll see in tomorrow's Daf, as Hashem, that it also can work with. Well, I don't know if money works, but it's not karka.
Right. So what? This shouldn't be a havamina. The Shibuda de Reb Nassan works.
What?
Why do I need to tie for that?
Right. So maybe that's a pshat. Maybe that's a pshat why it doesn't go. Maybe. I don't know. Okay, I know it's a little bit before the bottom of the but it's a new sugi, so we'll stop over here. All right. The Olam should have themselves a fine night. I hope tomorrow, for the first time this week, to be sitting in a chair. I hope as Hashem. That's
to the background of
I'm looking forward.
Anyway, have yourselves a fine night.
Good night.
Right.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
It end. Answer to end for all.
End for all.
Good night.
Have a good night, guys.